before I hand it over, I did want to introduce the whole team. They'll introduce themselves as they go, but I mentioned Rebecca Tabor and Rich Moorhead from the Placer County Public Works team. From Caltrans, we have Chris Ladeus, Steve Nelson, and John O'Neill. Gonna do a preview of the Caltrans work. And then Q&D Construction on the Southwest Gas Project, Brian Graham, Sean England, and Eva Worski. I hope I got that right, Eva. Eva Worski are here to talk to you tonight about that project. So before I hand it over to, I think, Rebecca Tabor to kick us off, I just wanted to kind of recognize both the Public Works team from Placer and also the Caltrans crews in the region. You know, a really hard winter, a lot of snow removal, a lot of snow came down, and a lot of snow removal operation that we all dealt with on a daily basis seemed like. With that came then emergency repairs of our infrastructure. Kudos to both teams to really, I think, answering the need and the call in the region over the last couple months to fill those potholes for us. So a lot of infrastructure need, and I just wanted to give a big thanks from everybody in Eastern Placer to both those teams. So with that, I think I covered the intro, so I'm going to hand it over to Rebecca Tabor.
Thank you, Stephanie. Could we go to the next slide, please? So again, Rebecca Tabor, I'm the Deputy Director for Public Works up here in Tahoe, and I have a couple slides to share on some of the Public Works projects going on this summer. So this first one is a project on Lower Seacline. It's a water quality improvement project located in the southwest corner of the Kings Beach Town Center. This area is currently unpaved or in poor pavement condition, and it's only about 200 feet from Lake Tahoe. So the project improvements include drainage, water quality, sidewalk extension, and road pavement on Seacline Street, just south of Highway 28. And the western portion of Brockway Vista Avenue will also be paved. This is the last phase of the Kings Beach Water Quality and Stream Environment Zone Improvement Project. We collaborated with partner agencies and community members on this project design. The project's entirely within the county right-of-way. Funding is from the Forest Service and TRPA. We will be formalizing and paving 14 parking spaces along the western side of Seacline Street. And this project provides vital treatment of runoff from the Kings Beach watershed prior to reaching Lake Tahoe. The construction duration is 45 working days. The contractor will start in August and complete in October. So we're very excited to see this project begin construction and get completed this summer. Next slide, please. And then Placer County's road crews, road maintenance, maintains about 180 miles of roadways in the Tahoe region. The crews are currently performing debris removal, sweeping, patching, general repairs, striping, and stenciling throughout the county maintained roadways in the region. But this slide in particular is highlighting some planned work in the Olympic Valley area. So in the red, Alpine Meadows Road will receive a pavement overlay from Deer Park to Bear Creek Bridge. It's about a 7/10 of a mile overlay, and that will occur after Labor Day. And then in the purple, that shows on Sandy Way some drainage improvements and partial pavement overlay that's planned for July. And then the blue line is Olympic Valley Road. This stretch will receive some grinding and paving in July. So this concludes the construction projects. And before I hand it to Rich for the transit update, I just wanted to encourage everyone who's interested in parking management, if you're interested to attend a virtual parking workshop on July 20th at 5:30 to help us shape that program through your input and ideas. The details for that workshop are included in the North Lake Tahoe website the county's website under parking management. And that link is on the next slide. We can advance to the there it is. And with that, I'll hand it over to Rich. Thank you.
Good evening. Again, Rich Moorhead with Public Works. I'm here to talk, give a broad overview of our TART system that we have up in the region. And for those that don't know, TART actually stands for Tahoe Truckee Area Regional Transit. And it does cover the Tahoe Basin as well as the Truckee area. And what I do want to stress is our services for the fixed route and for our TART Connect are free. Please share that information. It's a free service. You get on for free, no charge. Our fixed routes are your traditional routes that we run. You know, they're early morning to evening. And we have our main line that runs from Tahoe over across North Shore and into Incline Village. We have a service as well that runs the 267 corridor, really from State Line into Tahoe City. And the 89 corridor from Tahoe City, or sorry, I think the 267 corridor from State Line into Truckee. And then the 89 corridor from Tahoe City into Truckee as well. And then there is a Truckee service that you can see on the map. Those are the blue lines on that map. We also have a night service that is running from North Star to Truckee. And that runs from 6 to 11 at night. So that's one of the routes, again, all free services. Our TART Connect is the curb to curb on-demand service. And we have 5 zones here in the county, and then there's 1 in Truckee. The 3 along the lake that you see there going from kind of that Meeks Bay at the bottom, Carnelian Bay, and then over into Incline Village. Those are the zones 1, 2, and 3. We operate those services from 8 in the morning, and we've expanded that to midnight. And that'll be going from now until the 5th of September, where we're, again, still have expanded service, but we'll be running from 8 till 10, 8 in the morning till 10 in the evening. The services you see there, they're 4 and 5, which are the ones that run from the kind of pink color there, from Tahoe City up into Olympic Valley. And then the one from Kings Beach up into North Star. Those services are weekend services that we run in the evening. And they run from 6 to 11 at night. And then Truckee's is from 6:30 till midnight currently is what the services that they're running. So again, these are all on-demand free services. So I encourage everyone to get on TART, please. It's going to help through the construction season. The other thing that's going to be occurring that they're going to talk about in more detail as Q&D goes through some of their discussions about the projects that are occurring on the North Shore here is they are going to be monitoring for the transit service vehicles as they arrive into the zones. They're going to try and get them through as quickly as possible. So your odds of getting through those zones on TART will be better than going through on your own vehicle. And if you do drive into the basin, we encourage you, please take transit if you can, stay out of your vehicle as much as you can. But if you do, there's those public parking places too that you could park and get out of your car and then use the TART system inside the basin as well. And with that, I will turn it over to Chris Ladias, the project manager from Caltrans.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate that. Before I get started on my slide, I just want to talk about the emergency work that we've done up there in the Tahoe Basin. As you guys all know, we had a pretty big winter. We had a lot of potholes, and you've noticed some crews on the roadway doing some asphalt repair, in particular on State Route 89 between maybe Palisades and Tahoe City was particularly bad. Most of that work has been completed. We're still going to have a little bit of work on State Route 267 that's going to take place in July. But for the most part, all of that work has been completed. You've probably seen some stenciling crews as well. I know Rebecca has mentioned that the county crews are out there. Our Caltrans crews are out there as well. I know they've been in the Kings Beach area. They've done the left-hand turn lanes in the 267. And I know that we have our bike lanes will be done soon. I don't know of the particular schedule on that, but just know it was a really big winter. So we're behind a little bit with getting all of that work completed. So I wanted to touch on those emergency repairs. And now I'll get into the actual construction projects that Caltrans has ongoing for this season. I'm not going to worry about the Nevada side, all the brown numbers that you see right now, but I'm going to talk about projects 1 through 4, and project 5 I'll leave over to Q&D. So project number 1, which is located all the way at the top by Mystic, This project is obviously on Interstate 80. It goes from Mystic to the near the Nevada state line. This project regrades slopes, excavates rock, and installs a drapery system, which is basically that fencing looking material that's going to stop rocks from falling on the roadway. This project is expected to be complete near the end of this month. It's been ongoing for those of you that have traveled to the Reno area. You've probably seen that as you drive by. Project number 2 is located in the town of Truckee, obviously on Interstate 80. This is a pavement rehabilitation project that extends from Donner Pass Road to the State Route 267 interchange. This project will perform some drainage improvements. It's going to install a new auxiliary lane, so a lane that would go from Donner Pass Road and then exit directly into State Route 89 right there. But it's going to have an auxiliary lane that goes from all the way from Donner Pass Road to the 267 interchange. So every road will veer off and get on. You'll be able to enter into the freeway and then exit off of the freeway. That's what an auxiliary lane is, and that'll be in both the eastbound and westbound directions. The work for that is expected to complete later this year. We're expecting around August of this year for that work to be completed. Project 3 is on Interstate 80. It goes from around a half a mile east of Trout Creek to the Truckee River Bridge. And this work is just pavement repairs along Interstate 80. This work has not started yet. This work is expected to start in August and will run through the end of the season. Project number 4, as you can see, also located in the Truckee area. This work is striping reconfiguration to add a 3rd lane in that area. This project has not yet been awarded, so we do not have a start date. So this project may or may not commence this year. It might get moved into next year. And then we have Project 5, which is in the Lake Tahoe area on State Route 28. And this is our Q&D Southwest Gas project, replacing the gas line from Kings Beach to Tahoe City. And I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to the Q&D team. This is Brian Graham, Sean England, and Eva Worschke. They're going to be the ones presenting for you. So I'll let them take over from here.
Thank you, Chris. Again, I'm Brian Graham, project director here at Q&D. I have our project manager, Sean England, and our outreach director, Eva Worschke, here as well. They'll be here to answer any questions that might relate more to their role on this project. I think everybody knows, if anybody who's been up in the area, we've been working all of this season and all of last year. The project started back by Kings Beach. We made our way west, almost into Carnelian Bay last season. This year, we've made our focus in Tahoe City, trying to get that area cleared as soon as possible this season. We did have to make some adjustments earlier in the season for some of the other emergency work that Chris spoke about earlier. So with those adjustments, this is the plan moving forward until hopefully things don't change again. Moving forward, starting this Sunday, we're going to start working Sunday night. That'll be 7 p.m. It'll be around the clock work until Friday morning. We'll be off at 8 a.m. That'll start July 9th. We're going to be in the stretch between Base Camp and Sierra Terrace Road. With that narrow stretch of road, we're expecting a 2,000-foot long closure. We're going to have flaggers out there. They're going to stop and let traffic through. That should allow us to get the last piece of the puzzle for the main installation in Tahoe City. Coming on Monday, day work only, we'll also be working to finish the services in the Tahoe Vista area. It'll be a smaller closure at 1,000 feet long. Have shorter delay times with that shorter closure, and that'll be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. since we're going to be working in front of people's residences and in their properties. Once we get the main installation completed in Tahoe City, we do have a secondary crew that needs to fall behind and prepare some tie-ins for side streets. And then the actual main tie-ins at the ends. That'll be daytime only. It'll be a much smaller crew, much smaller closure. We're going to try to focus to keep that work where we can maintain 2 lanes of traffic, where we're at least not stopping people. In late July, once our mainline crew finishes in Tahoe City, we will move that crew up to Carnelian Bay. It's going to be that same 2,000 foot long closure with flaggers, longer wait times than some of the other closures. And we're trying to get that work over in Carnelian Bay all tied in and put together so that we can get that wrapped up. And once the services wrap up in Tahoe Vista, we'll move those service crews into Tahoe City late August, early September, depending on how production goes. Same thing, that will be daytime work only. We'll make sure that we schedule that and have it set up to maintain bi-directional traffic where we don't have flaggers out there stopping traffic all day long. In regards to emergency vehicles, TART, and even school buses, when school goes back into session, we're going to be placing advanced flaggers ahead of the flagger that actually stops you at the closure. Purpose of those folks is so that they can radio our people in the work zone, let them know that we have either public transit, a school bus, or an emergency vehicle that needs to get through immediately, so that we can try to keep all the public transportation on schedule, and obviously emergency vehicles need given top priority. Some of the impacts to expect based on our work plan moving forward. There's going to be no parking on Highway 28 either side of the road in any of the work zones, but specifically for what I'm talking about right now is Tahoe City. We will try to get those closures pulled up as tight as possible. We do realize that parking's a major priority up there, and we will do everything we can to accommodate as much as we can. We will designate any additional parking outside of the closures for any businesses that have to park delivery of vehicles so that they can get goods into their business. We'll designate an area for that. And if you would like to reach out to Eva or any of the folks out on site, let them know if you know of a delivery coming in. We'll do our best to accommodate and get those people through as quickly as possible. We'll make sure that access to businesses are maintained. That might be plates over an open excavation. We'll make sure we route pedestrians or foot traffic or anybody through so that anybody can get to whatever business they need to. There is going to be construction noise around the clock, obviously, with a 24-hour schedule, but we will be doing our best to schedule the loudest construction activities to happen at night to minimize the disruption to everybody in Tahoe City. On the public outreach side, we have 3 changeable message boards, one on 89 heading to West Shore, one on 89 heading to Truckee. We have another one on 28 coming in from the west or east side of the project. I believe Caltrans also has some message boards where they've put some project notifications up. We do have a 24-hour project hotline number. If you have any major concerns, feel free to call and we'll get back to you within 24 hours. There's a project website. We will share that link later at the end of the presentation. We're doing at least bi-weekly updates to try to keep everybody apprised of what the plans are for the following week. We are putting out door-to-door hangers and trying to knock on doors and talk with residents and business owners. Again, trying to let you guys know what we have planned for the coming week, and what to expect, and in fact, potential effects on your business, and see what we can do to work with you on some of those concerns. We have been in constant contact with the local business associations. I don't know if some of you were present for some of the presentations we did earlier this spring with the Tahoe City Downtown Association and with the North Tahoe Community Alliance. And then just more generally, Southwest Gas has sent out mailers to all residents and businesses in the area, trying to notify anybody of the project and where they can get information, up-to-date information as we proceed through the season. And there we have the link. I believe Placer counties can also distribute some of that same information. And we have our public outreach director's contact info up here. If anybody would like to reach out to her directly, feel free to do so.
Great. All right. Well, thanks everybody for all the great information. I just want to remind those that are with us on this webinar, there is a Q&A function. If you have questions, I do see one question in that Q&A asking about what stops will be affected in the various construction zones. Maybe, Lindsay, we can toggle back to the map, Highway 28 Southwest Gas map, a couple of slides back. I don't know if they're asking about transit stops, but essentially this is the map of the zones. Brian, I think maybe you could touch on one more time on where the focus areas are here, and you know, people can kind of plan accordingly on where the bus stops are.
So with the work in Tahoe City for the next 2 weeks, I think we could expect longer delays. Oh, sorry, I'm reading your question. So, I don't.
Yeah, to my knowledge, this section that we're doing starting on Sunday night, there is not a TART station in between that closure. In addition, in Carnelian Bay, where we're doing the service work, there isn't a closure. I know that if our closures are around the TART schedule, we'll be in contact with Southwest Gas or with Caltrans and TART to let them know. We were previously in Tahoe City, we were working around one of the stops, so we just made sure that they had to skip that stop and we made that public. So we'll continue to do that throughout the project.
Great, thanks. Well, maybe as we're waiting to see if there's any other questions, I just want to take another minute to, thank all of you for jumping on and giving this information. I do recognize that your teams have been very active in the region and providing other, reaching out through other community engagement opportunities. This is really, I think, just one more touch point as we get beyond the 4th of July and into sort of our peak tourism season, knowing that we're going to see additional visitors, and with that comes congestion. The other thing I just wanted to sort of highlight is, again, these are ongoing efforts that we have in the region. During this time, the Southwest Gas project is a pretty big project. We are hoping to advance additional sort of hours of working hours to get through this project this summer and on to more normalcy, hopefully in next summer. So anyways, I say that just to say we recognize the inconvenience to many of you in the region. These are necessary infrastructure improvements for our communities, and with the constrained environment, we appreciate your patience. We appreciate you, sort of checking in before you leave on any delays or change of operations that may be occurring. You can do that through the website. We can put the website back up. And maybe I'll hand it over to you, Lindsay, if there's other questions we want to read aloud for the team.
Yeah, we've gotten a few more questions, so thanks everyone for sending those in. Feel free to keep typing them in the chat. First, maybe this is a question for Rebecca and Rich. With Placer County, there is a question about are there plans to do any other road repairs on any other side streets in Tahoe City, Olympic Valley, besides the ones you mentioned at the beginning? And I see Rebecca unmuting.
So I would say the side streets in Tahoe City, I'm not aware of anything at this time. I'd have to check back with Matt Randall, our Deputy Director over road maintenance. I covered most of the Olympic Valley. I think that question kind of said Tahoe City and Olympic Valley. But yes, if there's further questions, I could reach out directly and respond back to Jim. It was Jim Phelan, right? So I'll follow up on that one.
Thank you. And then to Caltrans, there's a question on 89. There's still potholes between Alpine and the roundabout in Tahoe City. So a question of if there's any more planned work to seal or fill potholes. So Chris or Caltrans team.
Yeah, I could go ahead and take that one. The planned work that we do have is up on State Route 267, but we do have 2 more shifts pending on State Route 89 that would take place after we've complete the work on 267. Basically, we were awarded a limited amount of funds to get this emergency work done, and we're going to try to maximize the most that we can. So even if it's not done with the crew that we have out there, our maintenance crew could come in and repair some of those bigger potholes that we have. I will also state that Caltrans has a bigger pavement project for State Route 89 that would take place in the year of, I believe that we would go to construction in 2028. So that's quite a ways out, but that would be repaving that entire roadway from Truckee all the way into Tahoe City. But for this season, we do plan to come back out there and replace some of those potholes.
Thank you. And then there was a question about wait times, how it was mentioned phase 3 area, there could be longer wait times. Is there any more specificity that can be provided on length of wait times, or any more insight from Q&D or Caltrans?
So for Q&D, we're trying to keep the wait times preferably down to 15 minutes, but as traffic really starts to pick up, that really is going to drive the wait times, and we'll do the best we can to adjust on the fly. To the comment about the extended waits today out to Rocky Ridge, Q&D was not working on site today, so I can't speak to that.
Thank you. And Q&D, yeah, maybe you guys can stay on. There was a question about when do you expect the work affecting downtown Tahoe City businesses to be completed?
Okay, so initially through the end of July, we expect there to be 24-hour work Sunday night through Friday morning. That will get the rest of the gas main installed. Thereafter, we're going to have day work only with at least 1 lane in each direction, so we won't have flaggers out there stopping people all the time. But we will be there for August and probably part of September to get the main tie-overs completed, and then all the service work that follows that to replace gas services throughout Tahoe City.
Thank you. And then as a reminder, if you do have questions, you can submit them through the Q&A function. It's at the bottom of your screen. So if there's any other questions, or I know I've seen quite a few people join a little bit later, feel free, to pop in. But we did get another question, Caltrans, if there's any plans to repair some of the ruts on Interstate 80.
Absolutely. Great question. And project number 3 that I had that was on the slideshow a little bit earlier will be addressing those ruts. And that work, if you remember, was supposed to start in August of this year. So starting next month, you should start to see some work out there.
Thank you very much. And at this time, we don't have any other questions in the Q&A. We'll give it a few more minutes. Because again, I know some folks have joined us later, but also we do have the websites up on the screen. Again, for the project along Highway 28, you can visit the southwestgas.com Lake Tahoe website. and for updates from Placer County on all things related to Tahoe, not just road construction. That's the Placer County website. That's also the website where we will be sharing this recording. So if you did join late, you are welcome to go back and view it. That'll probably be posted either tomorrow or on Monday. And then just another question on, yeah, if based on the discussion of parking in downtown Tahoe City, does that mean there will not be any street parking available throughout the summer? Or do you expect after the construction could be finished, there might be some parking available in
So
downtown?
we anticipate about 1,500 feet of restriction through July. And once we go to the day work only, those closures are going to be much shorter. And we're absolutely going to accommodate more parking. We understand the issue up there.
And I will also share, I think Rich touched on it earlier, that we do have 2 public parking lots available at 64 acres. And then also at the Jack Pine public parking lot. So that is an opportunity. If, normally you park on the street, you can park in those public parking lots. They are free throughout the summer too. And you can either walk to your destination, take TART Connect, or grab your bike.
Lindsay, if I might add one more, I didn't say this very directly, but we will be off the roadway 100% on Fridays. So parking will be wide open for weekends.
Thank you. We appreciate that clarification.
And Lindsay, I just want to add, this is Steve from Caltrans Public Information. I know it's confusing for folks sometimes because Caltrans owns the highway, but it's not our project. But we are putting out information on the project. We put out a traffic alert today notifying folks that we're going to go to 20, I should say, around the clock work. So anyone that follows Caltrans, continue to do so. We will put information, we'll share anything that we get from Q&D and Southwest Gas. We're partners with this project. So we're not pushing it off on them to do everything. We want to help as much as we can.
Great, thanks for that, Steve. And I would extend that to the county team too. If you have questions, you don't know who to call, Caltrans or Southwest Gas, go ahead and get a hold of anybody in our public works or executive office. We'd be happy to help you to get you the answers that you need. All right, well, I'm not seeing any more questions. Just a reminder of the 2 websites. We are going to post this recording. So if you joined us late and you didn't get a chance to see the full presentations, check our websites here and we'll have that up for you. So thanks, everybody. Oh, one more question here, Jim. He's just saying thanks. So have a good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us.